Okay, hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I will be talking about my November wrap-up and my December TBR. I kind of just decided I'd make them together this time because my November wrap-up is actually kind of small this month. It might be a bit of an under-exaggeration when I say I was in a bit of a reading slump. I only read technically 3 books, but one of them was a novella, which was only like 28 pages. Yeah, so the books I read in November were basically the rest of the books in Maggie Stiefvater's Raven Cycle. So first one, Dream Thieves, which is the 3rd book. Second book, The Raven King, which is the last book, and then the novella is Opal. Dream Thieves I gave a 5 out of 5. The Raven King I also gave out a 5 out of 5, but then Opal I kind of gave like a 4 out of 5. I wasn't too interested in a certain character's perspective in this novella, which was basically the entire novella. It's not like she's insignificant in the main series, it's just I wasn't too interested in her as a character, so I didn't really care about reading her POV. I don't know, I don't want to say too much because I want to make a video solely for the Raven Cycle. These books are very character driven, which I like. If I don't like the characters, then I most likely won't like the book. Even if the plot is bad, as long as the characters are good, I'll continue to read the book. But if I absolutely hate the characters, I will put the book down, never read it again. The plot might seem very strange, but once you get into it, it is very interesting. There is a couple of subplot romances in here. You will not expect the second one like at all until potentially the 2nd book and definitely in the 3rd book. Yeah, but overall, 6 out of 5 series. It's become one of my all-time favorites, honestly, so please go read it. And now let's get into my December TBR. So the first one I have on here is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This was also, I think, in my November TBR, but I just never got around to it because I was in a reading slump. I guess I just didn't want to read anything else beside the Raven Cycle. I don't know. I didn't know what to do with myself after I finished that series because I liked it so much, so I guess I just kept delaying the inevitable. I just slowly read those books because I didn't want to read anything else. I can tell when I love a series when I don't want it to finish, and that's basically what I felt with the Raven Cycle. So I guess that's why I only got around to like 2.5 books this month. Yeah, but basically Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Powers in this world are pretty much everything, and the main character, this girl has been pretending for most of her life that she has powers, so one day she's unexpectedly entered in these sort of trials, I guess, that is meant for people with powers, but for most of her life she's been pretending that she's powerless. Editing me here, so I got that completely wrong. She's been pretending that she has powers, not that she's powerless. She is powerless, but she's been pretending for most of her life that she has powers. Okay, back to the video. So kind of an interesting situation she's gotten herself into here. I believe the author updated like everyone on her book writing process on TikTok, or at least the banter in this book. There is a lot of praise toward this book, kind of hidden. I don't think it became like entirely popular until it was traditionally published, and there is quite a few people who say this is like a 6-star read. Next one is one that I think everyone's looking forward to, honestly, and it's Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, and it's coming out this month. The first book, Divine Rivals, ended in like a major cliffhanger, and the 2nd book, Ruthless Vows, is said to be the last book. Yeah, this is supposed to be a duology, I think. Honestly, I can't really imagine how she'll end this off so quickly. I don't know, because obviously Divine Rivals isn't a standalone. I feel like duologies are like a good opportunity to add like more detail rather than like a standalone where you kind of just have to wrap it all up in one book and it might be like too quick. But also at the same time, from how things ended in the 1st book, it's kind of hard to imagine how she'll be able to like wrap up the story in just one more book. I don't know, I did really like Divine Rivals though. The romance was really cute, although near the ending it was a bit fast for my liking, but I don't know, I still really like them. The magical typewriters was what originally attracted me to the story, so I'm wondering if they're somehow going to be incorporated in the 2nd book as well. Yeah, I don't know, guess we'll see soon though, considering it comes out in the month of December. Okay, next one is sort of 3 books. It has been like combined into one book though, Skyward Flight. It has 3 novellas in it, and it's by Brandon Sanderson. I also recently just bought Defiant, which is the last book in the Skyward series. I haven't read the novellas yet, not that I think it's like necessary, but there is one character I desperately want to read his POV, because near the ending of the 3rd book there was something that they revealed that happened. I don't know, it was not surprising, but it's honestly kind of confusing how it happened, and yeah, that's basically what one of the novellas is about. Next one is, I already said it, Defiant by Brandon Sanderson. I don't know, I've already mentioned Defiant in plenty of other videos. This is the last installment in the Skyward series. I'm just desperately hoping for a good ending. I love these characters. This world was honestly very thrilling to read about. It honestly gave me like a sort of adrenaline rush, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I just hope the ending will give justice to this world, because I really liked the first book. Next one is Letter to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer. I honestly just like books with letters in them. And also this one has the secret identity trope as well, as with all books that contain the letter writing trope. I don't know, I always feel like feelings are sometimes a bit more understandable written on paper rather than out loud. And no, this book isn't entirely like Divine Rivals. There's no fantasy to it. It's a contemporary romance. I've been interested in Bridget Kemmerer's contemporary romance books for a while. A few people say they're better than her fantasy books. Not that I've read any of her fantasy books. I do want to read her fantasy books eventually, but I have heard here and there that people do prefer her contemporary romance books over her fantasy books. And honestly, this will probably be my next read because the book I'm currently reading is more like magical realism, but there is romance in it. So I don't know, for some reason it's just making me want to read like a pure romance book. And if you don't already know, that it's kind of unexpected that I actually want to read a romance book because I hardly ever want to. Next one is If You Could See the Sun by Anne Liang. I think this is sort of a magical realism romance book. The main character, she basically gets the power to become invisible. Not at will though. It's kind of like it just happens. She can feel it happening, but she doesn't know when it's gonna happen. And she finds a way to use these powers to her advantage. She basically makes a job out of it to gain money to stay in school because her family's not exactly well off. I am also interested in reading books by Asian women in general. Okay, if I have to admit, I'm not as well connected to my Asian side as I'd like to be. And yes, I realize this is fiction, but it also doesn't mean we can't learn like some things from these fiction books. So yeah, I do actively search for books by Asian people, specifically Asian women. I don't know, I feel like I can relate to them a bit and also learn some things that I'm not entirely knowledgeable on when it comes to like Asian culture and stuff. Next one is The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. It's a fantasy dystopian book I've been wanting to read for a while, ever since I watched the movie like years ago. The movie was kind of a flop, but that also doesn't mean I didn't like it. But also I did hear the books are much better than the movie was. And since now I have like no memory of the movie, I figured I should give the books a try, and I've been wanting to give them a try for a while now, so I'll probably start reading them soon-ish. Next one is The Night of the Dragon by Julie Kagawa. Julie Kagawa's Shadow of the Fox trilogy is probably the first books I've seen with like a kitsune in it, or like a Japanese spirit creature. I also just like books in general where like a close-knit group is traveling together. There's also a romance subplot in these books that hasn't been fully developed, so I'm excited to read this last book and see where the romance subplot goes, especially considering what happened in the last book. A lot of chaos. Next one, Garden of the Cursed by Katie Rose Poole. Okay, I kind of have to admit the main reason I wanted to read this book was because of the cover. I don't know, I've never read any books by Katie Rose Poole. I have heard of her before, I do recognize her name. Yeah, I have like no clue what this book is about. I think it's some sort of fantasy mystery. I don't know, this was definitely an impulse buy. I used to do like book impulse buys all the time, but now since I've gotten like Goodreads, I don't do it as much anymore. I don't know, I feel like if you have Goodreads, you don't really want to buy a book that's under 4 stars, which is probably bad because there's probably like a lot of books out there I'd enjoy that's under 4 stars. And it's not like I haven't read any books that are under 4 stars. I have, and some of them I've genuinely enjoyed. But yeah, I have no clue what the rating of this book is, so I hope it doesn't disappoint because I am diving into this completely blind. And the last book I have on here is Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadman. It's been a while since I read The Crowns of, oh god, how do you say this? Nyaxia? I'm so butchering that name, but it's been a while since I read that duology. I did hear Carissa Broadbent is going to be writing more books in this world with potentially characters we've already seen before in the original duology. This novella doesn't follow the main couple in The Serpents and the Wings of Night. It's 2 different characters. This is actually considered book 1.5, so I've already been introduced to the main couple in this book in the second book of this series. I honestly really like them. The guy is sort of like, I'm not the type to show my emotions or whatever, and then the girl is very blunt. And honestly, I love those types of characters, especially if it's like the main female lead. They were really cute in the second book from what I saw of them. Honestly, I kind of like them a bit more than the main couple for certain reasons if you've read The Serpent and the Wings of Night duology. But yeah, that's all the books I have on here. Hopefully I can do a bit better this month. I don't know, I'm still kind of in like a Raven Cycle hangover, but the book I'm currently reading right now is really interesting, and I think I've sort of got this like a good thing going on right now, so hopefully that continues in December. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video and hope to see you next time. Bye!